Okay, if you are a producer of pharmaceutical cannabis, so we have again to distinguish between pharmaceutical cannabis and medical cannabis. If we speak about pharmaceutical cannabis, so with the marketing authorization, there are specific procedures to be followed in order to receive authorization from the authority. So we have 4 different procedures. So one is the so-called centralized procedure. In this procedure, the main actor involved is directly the European Medicine Agency. So the European Medicine Agency evaluates the application and provides authorization on behalf of all the EU member states. Another possibility to pursue authorization is to proceed with the decentralized procedure. With the decentralized procedure, the applicant, so the manufacturer, can submit the application in parallel to more than one EU member state. A third way is the mutual recognition. With the mutual recognition, it is possible for a manufacturer that already has an authorization in one member state to ask for the extension. This application to be recognized by another member state. And finally, there is a fourth way, which is the national procedure. So if a manufacturer wants specifically to apply only in one market, they will apply a national procedure in that only for that specific competent authority. One thing that is worth to mention again. It's very important to state that for pharmaceutical cannabis, regardless of which is the procedure that an applicant will follow, the most remarkable thing is that authorization will arrive only after successful evaluation of quality and safety and efficacy through the clinical trials that we have already mentioned, and also after a successful evaluation through an inspection of the manufacturing facility. Well, if we move to the other category of medical cannabis, the regulatory landscape is a bit more complicated. And again, mostly it's due to the nature of the cannabis, which is considered, again, I remark the fact that it is considered again a narcotic drug. And also it is also complicated by the fact that every country has different approaches and regulations towards the category of medical cannabis. So it is we have to consider that nowadays, due to the fact that medical cannabis in general is considered a narcotic drug, there are strict, so it is strictly controlled. So there are international drug control treaties that require strict control over the cultivation, production, and distribution and supply. So governments are requesting the establishment of local national agencies to manage and to control the production of medical cannabis. And those agencies, for instance, have to report to the International Narcotics Control Board about the quantities of medical cannabis that are manufactured, and also about the number of patients that are going to be treated with those products. It is worth to mention that recently, in late 2020, there have been a couple of events that have slightly changed the regulatory landscape. So the first one is an event from the Court of Justice of the European Union. So the Court of Justice has ruled the CBD. The CBD is one of the main substances contained in cannabis, and it's the cannabidiol. It's one of the most also one of the most known active ingredients of cannabis. So this CBD has been ruled out from the narcotic list, so it is no longer considered from the Court of Justice of the European Union. The other event was the United Nations Commission for Narcotic Drugs that decided to move cannabis from the Schedule 4 into a less harmful category. Just to clarify that, for instance, Schedule 4 is including drugs like heroin. So we can say that these two recent events could be considered to some extent as a kind of door opening for European regulators, because nowadays with the two recent events, they could decide to handle cannabis in a different way. So no longer as a narcotic, but they could move and handle the cannabis as any other medicine. Let's spend a few more words now again on the cannabis agencies. So definitely cannabis agencies could be seen as an enabler to facilitate the access to medical cannabis from patients, because there are a lot of patients needing cannabis to treat, to manage their diseases, their disorders. Specifically, cannabis is used as pain relief in oncological patients. So that's one of the most popular applications. So what a cannabis agency could be? For instance, for sure, the biggest benefit at the end will be to facilitate the access to cannabis preparations. Other peculiarities of the cannabis agency would be to manage the process for cannabis manufacturing from end to end, so from the cultivation to the supply. So strictly controlling and monitoring all the steps. We can make an example. So let's pick the example of Germany. So Germany has positioned itself, we can say that has positioned itself as the focal point of Europe medical cannabis market, with over 128,000 patients treated in 2020 for a variety of disorders. So Germany has established a cannabis agency. And why Germany decided to establish the agency? Basically, for two reasons. First, to promote the domestic cultivation and production, which is also beneficial for the domestic economy. And second, in order to strictly manage and control the quality of the cannabis preparations that are administered to their patients. A milestone reached in Germany was in April 2019, where the cannabis agency in Germany granted approval, so granted the first license for domestic cultivation. So the cannabis agency in Germany is, for instance, responsible to determine the price, the sale price for cannabis preparations, and is also responsible to provide guidance to doctors for the prescription of medical cannabis products. So at the very end, we can say that having a cannabis agency is not a panacea for all the problems, but it is definitely an enabler to facilitate the access to cannabis for a lot of patients that are in need to treat their disorders.